Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna talk about Corydoras, one of my favorite fish ever. Corydoras become more and more popular in our hobby, and for a very good reason. They are showing very interesting behavior, they are very social and active, and just look at those guys, how cute is this? Over the years I kept many different types of Corydoras, and today I would like to share with you my list of top 10 tips of keeping Corys happy and healthy. Let's get to it. So my tip number one is don't overheat your Corys. Corydoras in general don't enjoy really high temperatures. Yes, they can survive in them, but this is not what we want. We don't want them to survive, we want them to thrive. And in nature they are also found in a little bit cooler places. So I'm trying to keep my Corys at 23-24 degrees Celsius. And of course it depends on the type of Corydoras that you have. So as you can see, those ranges are a little bit lower than in many common fish. So let's try to keep our cool Corydoras cool. Tip number two is give them space. Corys in general are very active fish. They like to swim a lot and they spend a lot of time looking for food. And they are also quite fast swimmers, so they cover a lot of distance in your tank. And for that reason, I would suggest if you want to keep Corys, keep them in at least 70 liters. I know that a lot of people is suggesting much less, even below 30, but honestly I disagree a little bit. Maybe for pygmy Corys or very little ones, that's okay. But bigger ones like bronze Corys, they really need their space and they behave much better when they have a lot of room to swim. And this is also connected with tip number 3, which is keep them only in the groups. Corydoras are extremely social fish. They are typical schooling fish and they really feel much safer in bigger groups. In the wild you can see groups of Corys swimming together in their hundreds. So if you want to keep them in the tank, I would suggest to have at least 6. And again, this is why you need a little bit bigger tank. And when I say keep at least 6, I mean the same type. So don't mix 2 pandas, 2 peppered and 2 green Cory catfish together. So if you can afford to put only 6 Corys in your tank, select one type and go with 6 of those. You're gonna see much cooler behavior and you're gonna see them more because they will not be stressed and will be much more visible. Tip number 4 is create some hiding places. Corys are mostly active in the evenings and in the mornings, but in the middle of the day they would like to rest a little bit. This is why it's a good idea to introduce some hiding places that they can use. So they really enjoy small caves made out of driftwood. They like to hide under bigger leaves, and they also enjoy some shade from floating plants. Basically, they like to have some kind of cover above their heads. This way they don't feel threatened from the top and they can focus on finding the food in the substrate. And substrate is our tip number 5. Use sand or very fine gravel. Substrate is possibly one of the most important things in your tank that you have to think about when you're thinking about Corydoras. Because they are bottom dwellers and have barbels, it's very important to select proper substrate for them. If you use some kind of a sharp substrate that have very rough edges, it's very possible that the Corys can damage their barbels, and this is very bad for them. They are spending most of the day looking for food in the substrate and they like to dig sometimes very deep in the sand to find something to eat. And this brings us to the tip number 6. Make sure they are actually fed. What I mean by that is that you shouldn't count on the fact that there will be always something left by other fish for the Corys to eat. This is a very common mistake that people make. They throw in some flakes and they just leave. And other fast and hungry fish will eat everything before it actually hits the bottom of the tank. So what I would suggest to do is make sure that some of the food is actually going to the sand, and on top of this feed something that is sinking very fast, like fast sinking pellets. Corys are quite active and they can grow bigger than you might think, so they do need quite a lot of food. This is quite a similar case to the autosynclus, when people always assume that algae is all they need. No. Just like with autos, feed your Corys. And tip number 7 will be feed them some worms. Corydoras are absolutely crazy about worms. This is what they mostly eat in the wild, so it's understandable. But really, my Corys are going absolutely crazy when I throw in some worms into the tank. It's full of protein, but they can easily handle it. And it's also a very good way of preparing your Corys for breeding. By the way, I'm building a breeding tank for Corys specifically, and I would like to cover this topic in more details. So if you're interested in Cory breeding, maybe you should subscribe because more information is coming. But anyway, it's also connected to the substrate that I mentioned before. So if you're going to use the worms that are live, they're gonna hide in the substrate. And the Corys will actually try to hunt them down and dig them out of the substrate. And this is why the substrate should be safe for them. If you don't have access to the live food, at least try with frozen one. It's not as good as the live food, but your Corys will still love it. So try if you can. Tip number 8 is to introduce some flow in your tank. Corys in the wild are living in streams, so they like their water to be moving a little bit. I'm not talking crazy fast rivers, but at least gentle flow is really appreciated by them. So if you have a choice between sponge filter and power filter, go with the power one and your Corys will really appreciate that. Tip number 9, don't go crazy with the light. Like I mentioned already, Corys like to hide from time to time. This is normal for them. In the wild, they are used to being threatened from above, so it's not great when they have very strong light in the tank. They actually enjoy their tanks to be a little bit darker. They enjoy a little bit tannins in the water, so things like driftwood, elder cones, oak leaves could be added to the tank. But also don't use crazy strong light. They will be stressed by it. And they will think that this is the middle of the day and they will keep hiding from you. You may not see them as often as you would like if you have very, very strong light. And if you cannot dim your light, use more floating plants. Like I said before, floating plants provide a little bit of shade and Corys feel safer this way. And my last tip is a little bit of a warning. Don't fill your tank to the max. Corydoras from time to time may very quickly almost jump to the surface of the water. But this is perfectly normal because this is how Corydoras sometimes gulp to get the oxygen from the surface. But from time to time, when they are big, they can actually jump out accidentally from your tank. It's not very common, it's actually quite unlikely, but I've seen this at least once in my life. So keep this in mind if you have your tank filled almost to the max. So that's it, those are my top 10 tips to keep Corydoras. In general, they are crazy fun fish to keep. They bring a lot of joy to almost every single tank. More information about Corys is coming. If you have more tips also for myself, please share them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something. If you did, please hit the like button because it really helps me out. But for now, thank you very much for watching and as always, see you in the next one.